All right, so we're group 14, and I'm Jeep Wani.
I'm Michael Lean, and our other group members are Andrew Pacheco and Jennifer Smuin, and this is our epic European adventure.
All right, so it was actually a process to come up with this idea. We were struggling for a while, and Andrew finally came up and he gave the idea of making a giant vacation plan, a European vacation for us. And so we decided if we were going to do this, we'd go pretty big. So we decided that we would make a budget of about $6,500 to go do an awesome European adventure. All right, so we decided the dates of our travel would be best between May 19th to June 2nd. So we're flying Delta from Salt Lake City to Paris, departing from Salt Lake City at 4:55 p.m. So we'll be getting to Paris around 11:15, and while we wait for our check-in to our hotel, we decided that we would go and have lunch under the Eiffel Tower, and then we'll check in at the Best Western Premier Louvre around 2 o'clock. And this hotel would cost us about 202 euros. And then after checking in, we decided that we would visit the Louvre at 4 p.m., and by booking this in advance, we got a discount and got tickets for 20 euros and 22 cents. So then, after Paris for a day, quick trip, but we decided to leave for Chamonix on May 21st, and we would stay there for 4 days. The way that we'd get there is by train, but we were unable to book it this far in advance, so I was looking at average prices, and that turned out to be around 150 to 200 euros. So we'd stay in Chamonix from May 21st through May 25th at an Airbnb, and the total cost for this would be around 235 euros. And then per person cost would be about 58.76 euros. So while we're there, there's tons of activities to do. So first we wanted to go and ride the tram out of the city into the mountains, and that would cost about 15 euros. And there's lots of hiking to be done around there, so we'd take a day to go do that. And then we'd also want to take a day to explore the beautiful ski town, go see some restaurants, eat, have some good food, go do some shopping, and then also just kicking back and relaxing and enjoying the beautiful scenery around the city. And then finally, to conclude our Chamonix experience, we'd leave on a bus to Geneva, which is the closest airport, which is about a 3.5-hour bus ride, and it only cost 5 euros.
All right, so once we get to Geneva, we're immediately going to be hopping on a plane at 7:05 a.m. on May 25th. We have a short layover in Brussels, and then we're arriving in Milan at about 11:20 a.m. The cost for that total, for all four of us, was 342 euros. So our plan from there then is to get a rental car at the Milan airport, which cost about 126 euros or 31.5 euros per person. And we're going to have that for most of our stay in Europe. So we're going to be driving a Fiat Punto Evo, a little bit tight, but we'll try and make it work for our entire stay. We're going to drive to the area near our hotel, the Residenza della Città, and have lunch near the hotel while we wait for our check-in time at around 2 p.m. The total cost for that hotel, just for the night, is going to be 254 euros for the four of us. And then from there, we're going to kind of unpack our bags. We're going to drive downtown, hopefully find parking, and walk to the Palazzo Reale, in which we can do the following. First thing we can do is all just a big plaza, a lot of stuff going on there. The first thing we'll go ahead and do is visit the Duomo. The Duomo in Milan is the second biggest cathedral in the world behind the Vatican. So we'll go there, and we're probably going to take a tour there. The tour costs about 10 euros each. And then right outside the Duomo is this big plaza, and just off to the side is one of the nicest malls in all of Europe. the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele, and that has all these shops. Might be a little bit pricey, the Gucci and the Prada, all that kind of stuff, but very, very nice place to be and a lot of fun stuff to see. And then from there, we're gonna drive to the San Siro Stadium where AC Milan actually plays soccer, their home stadium, and take a tour there. The cost per person is about 60 euros, but it should be a really cool stadium to see. I believe it holds around 80,000, so pretty big. Um, so after our night stay in Milan, we're gonna drive 3.5 hours away to Florence on May the 26th and arrive at about 2 p.m. So right around check-in time. So after we unpack there and kind of get our bearings there, we're going to be going to this wonderful restaurant that my friend G. Piers visited himself, called Panini Toscani, a famous restaurant in Florence, and it has really great paninis, great sandwiches, really good wine as well. So we'll have a nice little late afternoon meal there around 4. And then there we're also going to be visiting the Duomo Cathedral of Santa Maria de Fiore at 6 p.m. We'll take the tour, which costs around 10 euros as well per person. And then after that, Florence is known for its leatherwork and all of the leather goods that they make. And we're going to be visiting all the leather shops there and go and see all those cool objects and items. So, and then right after that, we'll have a nice meal, good dinner in downtown Florence, and then we'll head back to the hotel and kind of recoup for the next day.
And then after our wonderful time in Florence, we are going to drive a short hour and 33 minutes to Bologna, where we'll stay from May 27th to the 28th. We'll arrive there around 2 p.m. That's our goal, and hopefully check into the Excelsior Hotel, which is going to cost us about 263 euros. And Bologna is widely known for its food. I've been there myself before, and it is delicious. So we are trying to make this a focal point of our trip, and so when we get there, we'll have a small lunch on our way into the city at a local restaurant, hopefully. Try to save our appetite to have a delicious dinner. And then we'll go explore the city, and build up a bigger appetite. And,
of course.
And then for the final finale, we'll go to Demaro, a famous restaurant in Bologna, and this is where we're going to go a little big on dinner. It's going to be about 70 euros per person, but it's going to be well worth it.
Very, very good. All right, so the following day, May the 28th, we're going to be driving about 5 hours from Bologna to Nice, France, which isn't too far away, not a terrible drive. We're going to check into our Airbnb there because we'll be there for a few days and in the surrounding area. We're going to check in at about 4 p.m. The total cost of the Airbnb is about 585 euros. We're going to kind of just kick back, relax for that night after all that food we ate the day before. Get to bed early and kind of get ready for the adventure to come up from there. We might take a nice small walk around the city or whatnot, and then from there get ready for the next day. So on May 29th, we're going to be in the Nice area and just hanging around the city. We're going to go see some of the sights there. We're going to visit the Castle Hill. It's just this overlook over the marina and the bay just right there in the middle of Nice, so it'll be absolutely beautiful. We're really excited about that. Good photo ops, good pictures for Instagram and Twitter and whatever you might put those on. And then from there, we're going to go down to the Old Town, and we're going to see some of the historic neighborhoods down there, see all the architecture and some of the buildings as well, and just explore pretty much. And hopefully we're able to find some really, really cool stuff just looking around ourselves.
Yeah, it seems like a wonderful time, but as we leave there, we're going to actually take our car on the 30th over to Monte Carlo, which is only 30 minutes away. And we're actually going to do a wine tasting there at a wonderful winery called Buonamico Tenuta. and it's actually only 10 euros a person, so it's a pretty solid deal, and it's gotten great reviews, so we figured that would be a solid place to go. So we'll probably have take some time for relaxing and a nap after a long day of wine tasting. So we'll probably get back to the hotel and take a nap and whatnot. And then after that, we're planning on doing a tour of the Princess Palace of Monaco. And then after that, we'll drive 30 minutes back to our hotel in Nice and end the night.
All right, so after the 30th, we're coming up on our last several days in Europe. So on the 31st, we're gonna be after all the traveling and all the sightseeing and things like that. We're gonna just have a nice chill day, and we actually found that there are some boat tours around the Nice area. We're gonna be going to see all these different harbors and all these different bays around that area as well. These are called, or some of the names of them are Cap Ferrat, the Citadel, Cap de Nice, and Promenade d'Anglais. So that should be a lot of fun. Go and hang out on the boat, get a stop, and come or go see some of those places around the area and really explore everything that Nice has to offer. And then the total cost per person for the boat is only 18 euros, so not too bad if you want to get around really easily, hang out on a boat on the ocean, and then actually get to see all these really, really cool places.
Yeah, and then on the first, for this day, we're going to be laying pretty low, recovering from all of our walking around the city. As we have to leave our hotel pretty early in the morning on June 2nd. We actually have to leave at 2 a.m. to drive 3 hours from Nice to Milan to return our rental car by 5 a.m. So that's going to be a journey, so we definitely want to take that day easy.
Yeah, make sure that we're staying awake and staying safe as well. So, and then from Milan, we actually fly out from there, return the rental car, fly from Milan to Paris at 6:30 in the morning on June 2nd. And then that is actually going to be our final destination before we come home. Our flight out of Paris is at 1:15, and then we'll be flying directly from Paris all the way back to Salt Lake and getting here at about 9:05 p.m. So be pretty tired from the plane ride, but hopefully beat the jet lag as it'll be nighttime when we get back. But that's our epic adventure. We got a great plan going for us, and hopefully everything works out.
Yeah.
We created our team contract using Google Docs. We chose this format so that we could all amend the contract simultaneously. The first stipulation was that we would work together to create an international travel plan. Our contract also discussed the way we would decide on the specifics for the trip. We decided to use doodle polls and go with the majority, with the possibility of a second poll if there was an even split. We chose Andrew as the group leader. He has a significant amount of experience with international travel, so we felt he would lead us in the best direction. We also included that members needed to communicate using Google Docs and email. Our contract stated that any team member not contributing or fulfilling their role would suffer consequences, but that such behavior would need to be shown in proper documentation. It was important to add that any problems with the contract would need to be discussed before any individual signed it. This way, no one could retroactively say that they had a problem with what they had signed. The final item in our contract states that if the contract is continuously broken, points will be docked until removal is required. This was important because we know that things come up and get in the way of communicating. We felt that this course of action gave consequences for a lack of work, but let any member go back to fulfilling their duties in the group. This helped maintain a sense of unity because even if mistakes were made, it was possible to rectify them. Overall, we wanted our contract to be strict and to the point without alienating any member when something would inevitably come up.
All right, so the process of the project was quite an interesting one. Initially, we had some struggles with communication, more or less. Some group members, or a group member, not going to name names, but it was myself, is not that great at checking Canvas. So Canvas messages and discussions didn't work out too well as I was not prompt and timely with my responses on Canvas. And then unfortunately, my email was typoed, and I was never actually put onto the Google Doc at the time that it was created. So that caused a couple issues for us, but Jeep can give an opinion from the other side of things.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a speed bump, but we were able to get through it. Communication was definitely a pretty big issue with this project, having just about everything online and never really meeting face to face. So, kind of talk about the evolution of our communication a little bit. Brian has mentioned before in his lectures that face to face communication is always going to be the most effective, but with our group, everyone had pretty different schedules, and we were really unable to ever meet in person, so we had to do everything online. So first of all, we started with Canvas discussions, and like Michael mentioned, sometimes people don't check that as often, and so that wasn't a very effective way to get through to everyone. So then we decided to go to Canvas messages, and that actually yielded the same result, surprisingly. So then finally, not finally, but we decided to go to email and Google Docs. And this worked out a little bit better, but things started to get all jumbled in the Google Docs. It was kind of acting as an ongoing forum, but things got mixed up. People weren't seeing the messages they were supposed to see, so that didn't work out. So finally, Michael gave the idea of just having a text group chat, which actually ended up working out the best because we all check our phones much more than anything else.
Yeah, we're good. Let's do this real quick. All right, so the project process in general was a little bit rough for us at the beginning. Some of the group members, one group member being myself, doesn't always check Canvas, the discussions nor the messages as my main source of communication, and I did a pretty poor job of that. We also ran into a speed bump when my email was typoed and I was never receiving email from any of my group members, so I was not very good at communicating, as well as I was not being included in the communications, so that was kind of tough. But our communication came a long way throughout the process.
We had quite the evolution of communication in this project. So, like Brian has said in his lectures, face-to-face communication is always the best, but unfortunately, we all had pretty different schedules and were unable to ever meet face-to-face, so we had to do this all digitally, which definitely creates some problems in communication. So, like Michael mentioned, at first we started with the Canvas discussions on our group page, which did not work that great. Like he said, some group members don't check Canvas very much, but so then moving on, we went to try Canvas messages, which also didn't work, surprisingly. And so after that, Michael can tell you a little bit about that one.
Yeah, so after that, the group tried to switch to email and Google Doc, and after we posted our emails, it turns out that one of our group members, I'm not going to name names here, but it's that guy, just had a small typo issue with my email, so I wasn't receiving any email notification. I wasn't added to the Google Doc, and so from there we found it was better, but the Google Doc was more of a forum, and things kind of got mixed up and weren't always exactly communicated in real time. So finally it ended up, I suggested that we just make a group message via text, and that ended up being ultimately the best decision for communication and getting answers in a timely manner.
And then for the decision-making process for our vacation, to make decisions and come to a group consensus, we decided it was best to use a polling website. So we ended up using the website Doodle. to make all of our decisions, like where we wanted to go, what months we wanted to travel, and the activities we wanted to do that in those locations. And we just made it so majority would rule on those decisions. So Andrew created all the polls, and we took them to come up with our trip location activities and travel dates. And there were compromises and considerations of other members to finally come up to a group consensus and agreement on a final product for our trip. So then, as well, someone had to take leadership of the group, and we actually decided to make Andrew our leader because he seemed to have the most expertise on the subject. So he was able to give us a good broad outline of the trip, and we all voted, negotiated, and compromised and whatnot to come up with this great European adventure.
So tying it all back into the project, some of the things that the group had to decide was the budget that we were going to use for our trip. We told you earlier, but our budget came out to be about $6,500. We were going to, spend a little bit of money and enjoy ourselves while we were in Europe. So going back towards the costs of the actual trip, you can see here on our spreadsheet, we just ended up taking everyone's experiences from going to Europe and actually having traveled there and taking all the data that we had found online using Google Flights, Expedia, and then looking things up on Google as well, just finding websites for all these activities and food. And we ended up putting it into this spreadsheet, trying to make it work with the budget, and then we also estimated what food costs might be for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And none of this includes anything like shopping for personal items or getting snacks and things like that or souvenirs. So you can see down at the bottom the total $28.80. That was the amount of euros that it came out to be for our costs in general for travel and other things such as hotels, activities, and food as well. And so we actually ended up way under budget by about 2,600 euros. And so that we left for people to spend on themselves when we go shopping at malls or if we want to buy souvenirs or get extra food and things like that. So it ended up all working out. Our budget might have been a little bit too high. And we ended up making it a great part of the project and making it work.
Thank you.